I am from Tanzania, and I've been a safari guide for over 14 years. I actually started working as a safari guide with Abercrombie and Kent, and then eventually moved to another company which did with a lot of filming work with National Geographic and Animal Planet. So there is actually where my career of photography started, as my background of taking photographers out on safari. And actually it turned out that, I've been experiencing things that, I think I would rather tailor myself my trips and share the experience of the African wilderness. The reason we're here with my friend Wilfred is to share what actually Africa is. It might sound scary when you hear about Africa, but it's really fun once you're there, and that's why Marcia and the rest of the group have decided to invite us to share what is actually there. Second thing is we would like to share what is happening in Africa, what does the tourism help or does promote to conserve our wildlife species in Africa. Talking about Tanzania, it's on the eastern part of the continent where it's right here. So Africa is a continent, it's not a country. Some people sometimes may think that it's a very, very small continent, but it's a really huge continent. Secondly, Tanzania, it's one of the huge countries in East Africa that has did a very good job on conservation. About 30% of the land has been protected as national parks and game reserve. The reason we're here is we would like to share you a little bit of our experience and what is happening in our country with what you hear every day on news of poaching and where a lot of animals get killed, especially elephants. And we would like to share with some of the ideas of that, what can probably reduce the poaching in the country. And a good example it will be more of the what can we do to promote the local community instead of doing poaching rather than do conservation, either be guides and we would like to stand as a reflection. So poaching actually has been one of the main big things in our country, especially in some area where tourism hasn't been reaching. If you look at this map, or the arrow shows you like where the X are. These are the area where it used to have a big population of elephants, but today it has been decimated. So there's no more elephants on this area. Second, talking about wildlife photography, the reason we are standing here as well is I'm not a safari hunter, I am a photographic safari guide. Hunting has been one of the huge revenue that bring income in the country. And we, as the other portion of the photographic safaris, companies trying to go against it and trying to promote more the safari into the country, the photographic safari rather than hunting. Because I think it's really beautiful to look at all these pictures around here, rather than if we would have been bringing like stuffed animals and put in the room. I think it wouldn't have been comfortable. So we are trying to find out how can the tourism promote not only not the hunters to come, but also the local communities that in these areas they have been left with empty hands and then encourage themselves to be poachers. Because imagine if a hunter will come, hunt the trophy and then leave the area bare, what will the person in the community do? He will just say that no, people are coming in, they poach, they hunt, and we get left in hand. And then that will encourage the black markets come into the area and encourage people to poach for big money. And there's really huge money behind it because a lot of trophies or a lot of ivory goes to China, Thailand, and Vietnam. So there's a really huge market, which is a very tricky part to stop. The second thing is we have the Selous Game Reserve on the southern part of the country. This is one of the huge and the biggest game reserve we have in East Africa or in Africa in general. That it has about 55,000 square kilometers. And again, it used to be one of the biggest land or the reserve that have a bigger population of elephants in the country. But as we speak today, the elephants have been almost gone. We are talking about less than 43,000 elephants. It's about every 15 minutes an elephant died in the country, which it's really It's really sad, and we're trying to find out what can be done. So the best estimate will say that now Tanzania have lost about 50% of its elephants since 2007. But I tell you, it could be bigger than that. We'll probably be talking about 75% that it's gone. And tourism, we think it's far the best way, to promote the income. The wildlife tourism, it's for the accounts of the government, it's only probably 77%, which is bring the gross domestic product in the country. So elephants are the national treasure, which everybody would like to come and see all over the world. And we are here to stand and trying to ask anybody who would like to come on safari, because this will reflect into the community how important it is for you to come and see the wildlife that they are surrounding. Not only that, it's just generate the income. When you talk about safari, the money doesn't come to me. It's a roots that spread out. It starts from the government, goes all the way from the mushroom grower to the puncture repair. So again, it will also encourage people who would like to be rangers, and instead of being a poacher, people will get a job as rangers. Secondly, the money also will go into uniforms, go into GPS, it go into boots, it's going to hats. And again, these rangers, their family will live in a better life that it will not encourage one person to go and poach animals. And again, talking about reflection, being a ranger, it's reflect to someone else who probably, a ranger will have a better life, and then someone who wanted to be a poacher, he would rather be a ranger rather than being a poacher, so that you get better pay, and again, we will save our planet, we will have a happy life, and all our elephants will be safe. Talking about the communities, you think when you come on safaris, how do the community benefits? And you go to the lodge, you drink your green banana soup, you have your mushrooms. It all comes directly from the local people, so that that's how they see the directly income. For example, we're here today, which is an off season. Everything is low, and every community understands that it's an off season, which they see exactly that the only way they survive is because of tourism. And secondly, we're talking about the vegetables. You have the ladies that probably they will create gardens. Instead of overgrazing areas, people will create some gardens where they will have opportunity to grow things. You also have you're driving from one place to another. You have a person who doesn't have a job, but he can repair punctures. So he will sit and then create a small job, and then he will repair my vehicle or my puncture once we get a puncture on the way, and then the journey continues. That's a little bit we would like to talk about, poaching. And the other thing we'll go about, photographic safari. When you come to safari, it's sometimes tricky that people have different expectations, but it's one of the things that you will never regret on your lifetime. It's a thing that you tend, if you come and watch the elephants come to drink and think the interaction, the social behavior, it's completely that will change your life experience. And again, I think for me, it's better to take the image instead of take that soul away. That's all more likely. Our aim is to increase more photographers come and do photographing rather than hunt, which to encourage more poaching in the country. The way we do our safari is we have our vehicles that are designed for photographic safaris, where you will have a chance to stand out and see windows in and moving from one place to another. And we are all using only 4x4 vehicles. Vehicles are designed for photographers as well, and we have bin bags, and also we have professional guides that they will put your vehicles in a better position that it will not really interact with an animal behavior. And talking about photography, you're not talking only about the big games. We have an aspect of bedding. Beddings that have thousands of beds, especially beds migrate from all the way from Europe to Africa, especially during the spring, where there's a lot of insects which provide a lot of food for all the beds. We always have a question that how close do animals get to you? Sometimes we have animals get close to the number to the moment that you go I think this is a bit too close. So This is the picture that I think is taken last year, and this guy over here, this is Aaron, who is standing over there. And we had
big smile on his face.
Really great, fantastic safari where this cheetah mother killed a Thompson gazelle, and because it's out on the plains, it looked a comfortable place for shade, and then the only shade was where on the area was only the vehicle, so they dragged the kill right to the vehicles, and then without even being aware of our presence over there. Talking about photography as well is we do tell a lot of different type of either professional photographers, either normal photographic safari, which we tailor in different ways. There's people who come for bedding, there's people who come for flora and fauna, we have people who come for big games. And again, we're very flexible in tailoring that in a way that it gives everybody its own expectation of doing a safari. Talking about being close, sometimes you just park the vehicles and you see these big herds of elephants coming by through, and it's just give you an amazing experience seeing this giant animal walking by without even be aware that you are there. Yeah, I'm talking about photography. We do take a lot of photographic workshops where people who doesn't really know or they're interested in being photographers, we have photographers come and taught how to do more photography. All the wow pictures that we see in magazine and National Geographic, if you come with your SLR, there's a way that we can teach you how to get that wow shot. And again, when you come on safari, there's only one question I always receive at the airport, right after everybody board in and say that, no, will we see a giraffe? And my answer will always say that, no, it will not be an answer, it will be another question, that how many? And again, you go out, it will turn out that, no, it will be it's just another giraffe, move on. There's one of the huge things that we also like to share with you is it's a great migration. This is one of the amazing things that it's still happening on our planet Earth. It's very unique, and when you hear people talking about, people always say that when is the best time to come and see the migration? If you look at this map, it actually gives you that a chance that you can come anytime, unless that you just have to know that where the migration has to be. It's a little bit tricky because everything, all the movement depends on the weather. But for my recommendation as a professional safari guide, I will say that don't come at this time of the year because it will be rainy, it will be wet. You may not get back to your lodge when you go out. So the rest of the months are the best time. But again, also talking about the migration is, why do animals do migrate? It's because they're looking for the fresh water and fresh food. That means they will move from north, south, and back west, and then up to north again. And this picture also shows you that, how does the Serengeti, how big it is. If you look at these big pictures, you have the Masai Mara way up on the top, and then you also have the Ngorongoro Conservation Area on this side, and then the Gurumeti Reserve. So, talk about the Serengeti, you're talking about a very huge ecosystem area that, it consists of a lot of migratory species of animals that it's really neat to see. Imagine seeing 2.5 million animals crossing the river, and you think that it looks like they're committing suicide, but they're not committing suicide. This is all about the defense mechanism that they use. Safety number, that if 1 million will cross the river, that means that there's no way a crocodile will kill 1 million of wallabies a day. So that's more likely what they do, crossing back and forth. So you get that contrast. Sometimes they look like ants, sometimes it look like it's unreal, but it's a life that still exists. Talking about the migration, why do the migration move from north to south? It's just because the way the Serengeti has been designed, it has a lot of different vegetations. Talking about north is a long grass. You go on the southern part of the plains, is the short grass plains, which actually we call these sites the nursery. This is where the wildies give birth. This is where the journey begins. The only reason is because the short grass plains, the grass contains a lot of minerals that the calves that when they are born, the mother, they get very rich milk from the mother that give them the strength to move further up north again. And giving birth during the calving, this is more likely happen normally around February, not any other month. And the birth will only occur where 1,000 of calves will be born a day. Again, it's 17 number. Even if you have all lions and cheetahs and hyenas, there's no way they can be able to kill 1,000 calves a day. And even if they will do, they will have 2, 3, 4 days without eating, trying to digest what they have eaten. That means after 4 days, another 4,000 calves will be born. So they again 17 number. So again, most of our trips is more educational, is more give you the chance to understand what's going on with all the wildlife species, why certain species are bigger than the other one. Probably, they are on the top of the chain food or they are in the middle of the chain food. Talking about the migrants, you're also talking about, the Thompson gazelles, which they also migrate, but they don't go really further up north. They go all the way up to the central part of the Serengeti, and then by that time they reach on the north, the migration has come back again. But again, these species are modified because you have a big, about 14,000 square kilometers of the land which need to be grazed. So there's no competition because everybody has been designed, everybody has a certain level of grass that they graze on. So the wild beasts will never compete with Thompson, the wild beasts will never compete with zebras because everybody feed on a different level of grass. Hi, Jenny. And again, if you look at the chain food, where you have the lions, after the migration have left, you have the cats that, they are territorial, but they can't move with their heads. So they feed on whatever the chain of the antelope that have been left on the plain. And again, if you look at that shot, it shows you where the northern part of the Serengeti that, look how long those grass are that need to be mowed a day. But if you look at the chain food of the cycle of life, imagine 2.5 million wildebeests. How many tons of dung will be dropped a day? It's a lot. How many urine will be dropped on the plains? It's a lot. It's a lot. And again, how many liters of water will these animals, drink? So again, you can imagine how much can that land support? But the land has been supporting this for hundreds of years. But again, if you go back to the little bit to the history of the park, the history of the Serengeti National Park, this number of the wildebeest wasn't like this back in the 1960s. There was a German professor who came in the mid-1940s and 1950s to come and count the wildebeest in the Serengeti. And those are the times that there was a lot of disasters. There's a lot of rinderpest diseases that were killing a lot of species in the park. So what they discovered, there was only about 50,000 wildebeest in the area by that time. So the migratory routes were really, really small compared to what we have today. But after they did a lot of moving the local communities that were in the park, the number have come back to what we have today, 2.5 million wildebeest. And again, there's a lot of different, we also have residents that, they don't migrate, that, they probably tend to remain on the plains. And if you come during the fall, which this will be around June, you have a lot of flowers, which again attract a lot of birds, a lot of butterflies, and give you an opportunity to see all these wonders of all the creatures. And talking about liters of water, imagine that, how many rivers are in the Serengeti that, provide those waters. Even during the dry season, there are still pools that, provide a lot of water for all the species. So it's amazing how the ecosystem have worked itself without any human being, man-made rivers or man-made pools. And again, talking about the chain food, if you take the wildebeest today away, that means, the whole Serengeti ecosystem will be dead. There will be no Serengeti. That means, you have millions of wildebeest that dump thousands of tons of dunks that manure the soil, and then the soil grows up again, and then the new generation of the wildebeest will feed again. Second, you have all the cats, cheetahs, lions, hyenas, that feed on the wildebeest, that, support. That's how they, cut down, the species of certain animals that are around there. But there's one of the most important this is the one, my favorite. You know, if I look at the dung beetles, if there was no dung beetles in the Serengeti, nobody would have ever come to the Serengeti. Anybody would have come to the Serengeti, you hold your nose and go like, no, oh, this place stinks. Get out, get me out of here. This guy, the dung beetles play a big role of controlling the number of dungs or manure in the soil, or spreading out the dungs to area that probably the wildebeest haven't been. You see, so they spread all the dungs and dump them on the ground, lay their eggs, and then they hibernate within the ball. And again, you see two of them, they are not, that's a mate, the male and female, that the male will roll a ball and send it to the female at the wedding present. The female will lay the eggs in it and then hibernate, and then life goes on. Second, we also have irregular flies that they do lay their eggs on the balls or on the dungs because of the liquids that you have on the dungs of the animals. So what happens is when the dung beetles roll the balls, they bury the dungs on the ground. That means those eggs will not hibernate. They will not be hatched because there will be no oxygen on the ground. So they control the number of flies as well. So there's a very huge chain of small things that you probably might not see, but once you're on the ground, you will see. And again, the media is trying to do a lot to show you, but it's the small stuff that can't really be put in details unless you're on the ground. Talking about the chain food, the wildebeest has been the support for all the Serengeti National Park cats, like especially lions, cheetahs, and leopards, hyenas. And they provide a lot of food for the cats. So it's leading to be, the Serengeti has been one of the parks that has big concentration of lions. Talking about the dung beetles, you also have what we call the cleaners. After all the carcasses you see the lions hunting, they eat, they feed on, we have a guy that they come and clean up the whole carcasses. That's right. These are the vultures, which we have several species of them, that they all are ranked according to the shape of the beak. If they find a carcass, certain only one pair will come and open the carcass, and then the rest will come and open it. So there's levels of feeding of all the different species of the vultures. Yeah, that's all about the migration for now, and probably when you come on safari, where do you stay? People always say that, no, when you come on safari, where will I stay? There are places. My favorite is what we call Ernest Hemingway style. It's a mobile camping. You go out in the wilderness, you pitch up the camp, and then you look at all those stars at night. Sit in front of what we call the bush TV. It's just fun. Just fun. We have a lot of different types of accommodation. You have mobile camps, as you see. These are camps that are settled probably for 3 months, seasonal camps. And that gives you flexibility of staying in a canvas and explore the wilderness. We also have big areas that, these are the hotels that, have been hatched on the big baobab trees. And you have a ladder, you go up on the trees, and then you overnight on the top of the tree. And again, it's safe, you get good food. That's a big part where, you come on safari, you think that you may lose weight, but I tell you, you will. Yeah, that's another Hemingway style, we call it, the mobile camp. Yeah, that's another tent where the camping will give you a chance to be further into the deep of the wilderness, because it can be set up according to the wildlife movements. And in the camp, sometimes you have visitors, and I don't know, if you look at the picture, who is the visitor? It's always people say that, no, oh, we have the visitors in the camp, but I think I always say that, no, we are the visitors in the area, because elephants have been there before the camps have been there. But again, nothing danger had ever happened, and it's fun just to be face to face or up close to an elephant. And talking about accommodation, each trip depends on a person's budget. You know, you may go to the completely high-end safari, go to the mid-range. We don't rough it. I once had rough it was not fun, so I remained tailoring mid-range and high-end. So I wouldn't like to repeat the same experience. Yeah, so mid-range will be more likely like this one, which will give you just, you know, a comfortable place to stay. And again, you will not be spending a lot of time in these places. You will be out every day. But, you know, you come back, if you need a good place, this will be more ideally a place for overnight. Yeah, this is another sample of the lodges that, you know, when we want to stay, they give you the comfort of the African experience. And again, talking about going game drives, you know, we talk like now, most of our game drive, we do early morning game drives. You know, you take your breakfast off in the bush, you have your breakfast out there when the first lights is coming in. But, you know, not necessarily that, no, you have to go all the game drives. You will never be missing anything. Sometimes you may sit at the balcony at the lodge, maybe along the river, or you see impalas going through, or hippos fighting along the river, or crocodiles trying to catch something. So there's always something going on. So when we do our safari, we always tell people that, you know, if you feel like you're tired, don't push it, because, you know, you're not missing anything. And eventually you come back in the evening, a person who probably have stayed have seen more of an interesting thing than a person who went out. But going out, it's still fun. This is another style where we call it the mobile camping, which is actually, the tents are huge. When you talk about camping, we are not talking about small tents. The tents have toilets in it, they have bathrooms, and we have solars in it, so that, you know, you have the lights that, you know, you don't have to get out of the tent in the middle of the night and go and help yourself. You know, everything is more self-contained. Yeah, we talking also about I'm not the only one doing the guidings. I have my teams that, you know, we do guidings. And so you may book a safari and you say that, no, why am I not getting Jombi? No, we also have other guides that, you know, they are very well professional and they are very well trained. And they've been doing this for a long, long time. About, you know, everybody has probably not less than 10 years of experience. Yeah, that is it for now. I'm going to handle it for Wilfred. We also have another portion when we add on safari that, you know, you may be doing probably a safari of, let's say, more likely our safaris are 2 weeks safari, but, you know, the gorilla trekking is never the same as, you know, as a safari. You know, you do the gorilla trekking, Marcia and Motsuko and Maren, I guided them through Rwanda, going through for the gorilla trekking, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. I had a gorilla kicking my legs and Marcia was really terrified, going, what's going on? But doing gorilla trekking in Rwanda, again, we are still going talking about the conservation to emphasize the community, not to push for the gorilla. The guys in blue uniform, this used to be the ex-poachers, that today they become poachers, that, you know, you go on them on trekking. So again, they see the direct income coming in instead of a single person go and poach the gorilla, and then, you know, it will only be a benefit of a single person and not the community. So that's why we're trying to more generate people go, or convince people to go to Rwanda. It's a safe country. You can believe, after all what have happened, you can believe that, you know, it's clean, it's nice, people are nice, and the tolerance of people like forgetting what had happened, it's just incredible. And again, you know, being face to face with the silverback, it's something. It's a completely different experience compared to when you go out on safari. So if you have on your bucket list, you know, don't forget to put it a 3-4 day safari to do the gorilla trekking. You will never regret it. Yeah, and again, you know, you may go sometimes and you think, who is watching whom, and who is observing who is thinking of whom. It's just fascinating when you do all this, especially me as a guide, because, you know, you have the crowd looking at the gorilla, and the gorilla is looking at somebody, and you think that, no, what are they thinking about us? Yeah. You know, it's just fascinating. Apart from gorillas, you know, you also have what they call the golden monkeys in these are the only monkey that that can only be found in Rwanda. So there are small species that when you go on safari, you're